Welcome back to another conversation with the Mafia. Tonight, you got myself, Chris, joined with Coach Marcus.
Yo.
And what we getting into tonight, Coach?
Before we get into this, we're going to get into prayer first and ask God to be with us here. So thank you, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you, Creator of all things. Thank you for creating the heavens and the earth and allowing us to be here to experience what you have put here on earth, Father. We thank you for walking with us our daily, every day. Thank you for the word that you give us, Lord, that we can live by to help us find our way to be true to ourselves and be the best versions of ourselves. Amen. We thank you for having your hand upon each and everybody out there, Father God, that the ones that are suffering, we pray that you be with them. The ones that aren't suffering with them, that you just be with them also to help them find their way towards you, for you, and find abundance in their life. I give you glory and honor and praise for everybody that has been in my life and the relationships that I've had. And I thank you for this podcast and the assignment and the purpose that you have given me to move forward in my life. I pray that right now, Lord, that the word that we're about ready to bring forth, bring everybody closer to you, closer to one another, and let them dive deep inside themselves to really say, am I really this person that they're talking to? And if they are, Lord, let them be the one that gets reached by this message today, Lord, yes, Lord, that they find their way towards you by this message today. We give you all the glory, all the honor, all the praise in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So we're going to jump into this thing right now. And, you know, what I started it off really was, it's just a question, right? There's not really a specific title. I'll let you give it a title however you want it to, but it's really, bro, be honest. Do you ever, and do you even like your life, how your life is going right now? We touched a little bit about it when we were on the live earlier on Facebook. And, you know, this is really just like, let's just keep it real, guys. This is just like barbershop style talk, locker room talk, you know, just keeping real, and our energy's high about this one, because really the truth of the fact is, I just wanted to ask you this question, you know, and you have to ask yourself honestly, do you really like your life and where it's going? And those are the things that we have to ask ourselves and say, like a renewing, like every 3 months in every year, right? Like, have I hit these goals? Have I done that? Do I like where my life is? And let's try not to look too far back and live with regret. Let's find out which way we can move forward with this. So those real questions, you know, a lot of us guys are going to say, yeah, I like my life. I like where it's going. I like where it's going. Really?
But are you true about how you feel about your life? Like, we said it off camera and we said it in the live, like at 3 a.m, what's your honest answer? And, you know, we tell people all the time, I don't need you to chime in here, but ask yourself, because if this conversation don't start within, it doesn't matter. Like, if I don't have this conversation with myself, doing this podcast don't matter.
Fact.
Because I'm still fronting. But the main thing is before you start diving in too far, is what are you not confronting? Because for you to be comfortable in your life and like your life, you got to confront some bad things that's in your life to get there.
Well, some of us ain't confronting those things. We're just putting a lot of those things to the back burner, right? And we're pushing that autopilot, like I said before, like, yo, and Chris was talking about, like, some of us are living on a prayer.
Yeah, we're living on reckless pilot, because, you know what I mean? It's easier to blame somebody else for something that's not going right than to sit down and have that honest conversation.
You know, honest conversation really sits in a whole different direction. And I'll tell you really quick and fast that some of us say, oh, yeah, my life is fine. My life is fine. But the alarm goes off and you're tired already. Like, the alarm went off. You woke up this morning, like, and the first thing that starts to hit you, you want to hit that snooze button and negotiate, like, do I really want to go to this job today? Should I call in sick?
You know, it's crazy.
You know, like, your life is not, if you really answered that question, honestly, you'd be like, no, it's not going the way I want it to go, because you wouldn't have that question.
There was a part in my message Wednesday about the strength to keep going forward. And we talked about just appreciating being woke up every day. And then, you know, just as we said in there, and you just reminded me, is how many times do we hit snooze and re-wake up again? Man, God's being too good to us. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that didn't even get to hear the alarm. And I think a lot of us, I think we carry so much on our shoulders that God never said, you're supposed to do this alone.
Mhm.
And I think purposely, like people say, well, he only puts what's on your plate. No. Some of that is what we put on our plate, because a lot of the stuff, no weapon formed against us will prosper. So if it's prospering, we got to sit back and say, okay, well, what's on my plate? Because probably I didn't need that extra serving. I mean, I still want it, but we probably don't need it. But now I can't say, well, God's not good to me, I'm overweight. I ate two dinners. You know what I mean? Like we got to really start looking at us.
That's right.
To find that inner peace, because Jesus is in us.
That's right.
God put that spirit in us of peace. But if we're looking elsewhere for that and we're trying to hold someone else accountable with it, how are we ever going to find it?
Yeah. If you're, I forgot what song I was listening to today, but it was like, you're in control of your own happiness. You really are. And then there's times that, like, I'll be honest, there was times I pulled up to my house and I sat in the car for a minute before going inside, just trying to breathe and get rid of the stress. Like, you go to work, you count the hours and just being in that building, but you're not really trying to build anything, and you start to feel that life is wearing on you. And then you finally got to have that discipline and be like, okay, why am I here? Why am I stuck here? Do I really like the way life is going? And that's what we're really trying to hit home with right now in this conversation. Like, men, check those things. Like, what part of your life that you can look back and say, I don't like that going the way it's going. It could be even the relationship that you have with your girl.
Right.
Like, what part of life that you're like, hey, I don't like the way that particular thing is going. And, when we talk about girlfriends and wives and stuff, dudes are like, click, click. Let me change the channel.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is through communication.
Mm-hmm.
And having that honest conversation with yourself is where this starts. Because if you're not honest with yourself, you can't sit down and tell someone, let's keep it real.
Ooh.
Because you're already lying.
Mm-hmm.
So if you step to a table, and I could use my own example of this. We went to counseling for marriage counseling, and I was high. Like beyond high. And I'm in there trying to say, well, I'm being honest. I have no idea how they in that room didn't think so. Because
wait. Wheel that back. Chris talking about his previous life, okay? Not
right.
like this is happening.
Well, everybody knows. I mean, like, because someone watching this is sitting in the shoes I was in. And I, this is just testimony that I'm not better than you. I've dealt with what you've dealt with. But what I'm saying is that you can't have an honest conversation with someone else if you're capping yourself. Like if you BSing yourself right off the bat, there's nothing that you're saying that's going to make sense to anyone else that's listening. And what's crazy though is, I mean, I must have put on a good act, because even the therapist was like, yeah, this just like, it was taking my side, which I didn't want her to. But I think she saw exactly what I was saying, because I think what it was is the other half of that conversation wasn't being honest either. So that makes you wonder why. I mean, we both struck out, and the lady in there was like, I ain't taking your money no more. This just ain't working. You need to just figure this out. But until we were able to have that honest conversation with ourselves, I don't think anything would have happened.
Yeah, and neither one of y'all liking your life. Neither one of y'all liking your life.
You know what it was? I don't even think it was our life. It was what we expected. And that was at the beginning of social media. So I think a lot of that had to play with it, because, we were watching other people live happy. And now, you know what I mean? Now we're
message.
Yeah. Hello. But, as AZ would say, hello. But most of it is that there was so much expectation put on that wasn't real. Again, someone else not being real, and now we're using that as the standard. So it just
the fakeness. And you're right, man. Like, a lot of us turn around and have those expectations, and when they're not met, we start to adapt to it and get used to that particular lifestyle and stuff. And we're in the back, we're still not feeling comfortable, and we still don't like it, but we get so used to it that we don't want to make any of those changes. And that's not peace, man. That's tolerating it, man. You're just tolerating your situation. I remember at one point in time that when you finally wake up and grow up and you break free, you realize that you're not being a people pleaser. You don't even really have to please your spouse or your parents, your kids. You realize that, you know what? I'm tired of the fake. I'm tired of the funk. I'm not trying to make you happy all the time. There comes a point where I have to make sure that I'm taking care of me. And I like to reel back to that Bible verse where it talks about, before you start pointing out the flaws in your brothers, Why don't you take and remove the splinter in your own eye so you can see clearly? I can't expect my kids to be happy and I'm miserable. I can't be telling my kids how to obtain happiness and do this and do that, and I'm miserable. The fact is that children, like we said last week when we got into this conversation, they don't care about everything that you're saying. How are you moving? How are you walking? What are you doing? And it takes a brave soul to finally just shed it all off and say, you know what? The only one I need to please is God.
And I was just going to say that, like, the door's open now, so I'm going to keep being transparent.
Get in it.
But there's a lot of times where, like, in life where I wasn't happy, and it's because I wasn't living for God. I was BSing saying that, me and God have an understanding. He understood that I wasn't with it. I mean, and that's just the honest. I could lie and now I could be honest about it, but like, there's no peace with the Prince of Peace when you're not in order and in line with what he's doing.
Dude, I like that. Say that one more time.
Man, I don't know, Ray. I can't figure that.
Come on, man.
No, there's no peace
with the Prince of Peace.
With the Prince of Peace, if you're not in line.
You're not in order.
It's just like, like if you go to play a game, if you do not participate with the right rules, you will not win. If you shoot at the opponent's hoop instead of yours, you're not scoring. If you throw gutter balls, it doesn't matter how fast you throw it if you're not hitting the pins that you need to hit. And what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of us, right, that's gone through life, and what it is it's because we didn't know no better.
Fact.
Because if we did know better, there'd be some conviction. Because there was a lot of conviction in my life during this time that I tried to front and try to act like I had everything together, but it was because I've really never seen it together before. So what happens, right, is if you're used to chaos and you have normalcy in your chaos, it looks normal. Now, if it was beyond chaos, then it's like, okay, this is crazy. But like, I had a friend of mine tell me, and he's like, bro, I respect your level of craziness that you take, because there was times in my relationship where it was just like, why am I putting up with this? But what it was is because we weren't having those honest conversations.
Fact, and there's no alignment. And when you choose to stay out of alignment, you won't have those conversations. And this is what we're trying to dive deep. Have that conversation with yourself. Because I tell you right now, most men actually, if you really think about it, didn't choose the life that they're living right now. They had other expectations, right? And, they fell into it. Most of us men, we fell into the job, to the situation, even into the relationship. Like, I didn't expect my relationship or the person I married or the person I got pregnant to be the way things are.
Yeah, but can we be real though?
Yeah,
we didn't fall. Come on. I mean, that's like cheating and say you slipped and fell into some doggy style. Like, no. Come on.
All right.
No, you know what we did? We went head on to a job we weren't called to do. We jumped into a situation that God was giving us red flags, but we still seen an opportunity to manipulate it and thought we were going to come up in it. And there's some of those relationships. She looked good. She looked damn good, but she wasn't for you.
Yeah. And now you stuck trying to maintain something that you never built on purpose. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at with it. It's like, everybody can sit there and say, I'm fine. This is exactly how I wanted my life. This is exactly the way it was. But the truth of the fact is, it isn't. It really isn't. And some of us are still stuck maintaining something that we never chose to build. The question is, when you can still look back and be honest, are you really aligned with God? Because God can fix it all. God can fix every last minute of it if you just surrender and give it to Him.
And that boots the door into this next part, is distraction. Because see, like, if you're focused on God, you're not distracted.
Fact.
And anyone tuning in and they're like, well, I just don't believe in this. Hear us out. Because I didn't believe in it either at the beginning. I believed in God, but I didn't believe in, like, I always believed in the meme. It wasn't a meme. It was a saying back then, but the meme now that says, ain't nobody coming to save you. And that's BS. I'm not saying now that because there is no one, but there is God.
That's right.
Like no man is going to step into God's position and fix you. They will come manipulate you and set you up for more heartbreak. But the minute you give God's glory to a situation, a thing, a person, it's going to fall because God's going to say, okay, cool. You think Brother Chris really got your back before me? Okay, well, let's put a little pressure on Brother Chris. And then when Brother Chris flips out and don't answer the phone no more, Well, Brother Chris, no, Brother Chris took on something that wasn't his. And that's what happens, right? A lot of people don't abandon you because they just thought it'd be cool to abandon you. They took on a situation that God didn't allow them to be in.
That's right.
And God, like what I spoke in my message on Wednesday, God can measure the ocean in the palm of his hand. And we're still trying to figure out how far we can swim down. Like, where are we missing this concept? Like you could say all you want about science, and I'm not knocking that either. But what I'm saying is I never understood that part, that illustration. And through the Bible, right? There's a lot of illustrations. We just don't hear them because we're not trying to hear them.
Well, I think that we had this other conversation, and we'll get back into this, where we'd ask yourself, even those guys that are out there right now and some of the women that tuned into this and stuff, about how religious you really are, what type of relationship you really have with God, right? Do you really trust him? Right. Do you really trust him? And I'm not like, do you really trust him with everything? Everything. Is there some things that you always try to control? And you control the output, and you control what's going to happen, and you control how many hairs you have on your head, and you control what number of hair. Now, I'm not talking about like how many, like, 5 hairs fell out. No, I'm talking number 5,023 fell out. Number 6,028 fell out. Number, because God tells you he knows the number of the hairs on your head.
And let's take this even deeper. He created all the stars in the sky and know them by name.
Fact.
So like there's still stuff we're banging our heads on that we don't even have equipment to see yet, and he knows them. Then break it down. He knows all the hairs on your own head. So I mean, like, this is bigger, right? So you're not tired. You're just distracted. And the reasoning behind that is God's gonna humble you, because you cannot nowhere in the Bible does God ever ask somebody for advice. Never. Like, there's never been a story where somebody was going through something and God's like, man, give me about 10 more minutes. I'm still trying to figure this out. Or this bill's due, and man, God, do you have an answer? No, dog. Like, no, he's never said that.
Anything I hear when dudes question God about certain things, God turns around and says, where was you when I built the heavens? Where was you when I held back the sea? Where was you when I made the light come upon the deep waters? God was like, hey, you want to question me? Here we go. But you still won't trust me. And the fact is as soon as we start to put our trust and we surrender in him, life starts to go a lot smoother. And especially even on our home, with our relationships.
And see, what's funny is that you're not tired. You're just distracted. I got to keep going back to that part, because someone's got to hear that. But it's not because you don't have energy, because you have energy to do everything else that doesn't matter.
Fact.
I mean, like, how many of us are out there? Like, for me, I was out there trying to build lowriders. I didn't have a credit score. I didn't have a proper relationship. So that was my new idol. That was my crutch. And God one day was just like, and I noticed every time I touched this car, this is my dream car. I got this car at the weirdest, darkest, deepest storm in my life. I slept in this car. Like, people are like, you balling. I'm on triple golds. And I was sleeping in a parking lot with the tarp over the car, trying to protect it. And I was like, why didn't I just sell that car?
See, you protected the idol?
Right. I protected what I thought was going to get me through it. Because see, what I was doing is I bought this car, and the only reason I bought this car was so I could fit in with my brothers, because they was all out rolling and I wasn't. So I was like, let me get this. And then what happened is I got my car and everyone parked, and I'm like, where y'all at? I'm out here now. Like, so I'm like trying to steal from Paul to pay Peter to keep this car on the road. I didn't have a daily no more. And see what happened.
But how'd that make you feel?
I was broken. I was distracted, but I still didn't understand it, right? Like, I still didn't get that part of it, that it wasn't that I wasn't doing everything right. It was because I was doing it wrong. I was doing it in the wrong order. Now, there's nothing wrong to have a hobby, because you know what I mean? Like, now my hobby, I got other hobbies that don't take as much money. But what happened is God's like, I need you to sit down and be still. And I couldn't understand that for years. And every time I'd go try to get this car, and like, I'd go get some fake insurance, whatever, roll. And every time I did, something caught on fire, something fell off. And I was like, oh, the haters are hating, but it was me.
Distracted.
I was distracted because I had energy to do everything else, but sit down and have this conversation with myself and God and fix what's wrong.
Figure that part out. And it's true, because you'll go Monday through Friday hating the job that you do. But come Saturday, Sunday, you got all the energy to wake up early and stuff. And you sit there like, man, why am I up early? You complained all week by hitting the snooze button. You kept hitting the snooze button, 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes.
This is one place I can be honest. I still hit the snooze button on the weekend too. I can be honest now. Like, Midget hates it. Midget hates it because she's like, turn it off. I was like, I got to have it on because I got stuff to do, but I just don't want to go.
Again, here we go. We're being honest with each other, and being truthful with one another. Be truthful to thyself. Always be true to yourself. And you find yourself in those situations, you realize that I am distracted. I am taking too many other things in those steps, and I'm not having order in my life. First order of business, God says it plain and clear. God is supposed to be number one.
Right.
Period over all things. And I'm not saying I'm holier than thou, because there's days that I wake up and I don't even acknowledge him, and I don't jump into prayer right away. But then there's days, as soon as my eyes pop open, I'm like, hey, God, I'm up. Thank you.
You know what though? Like I've been, like, let me go into my Bible app. I've been in my Bible app since someone turned me on to it. I've been in it for, I should have had this out, but 1,176 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I get up and do a devotion, and I read and I do whatever.
Journaling.
But you know what though? When I first started my mission, I was like dead on 3:00 in the morning. I'm awake. But what God's been revealing to me, and see, we're all on a different walk, right? So as you start to try to take it, and as this next topic we're getting into, home and relationship impact with this, is when the man of the house is off, everything feels off. And what happens, right, is you can't continue to grow on a schedule you had when you were barely walking. Like now, like you weightlifters, right? You don't go in there and just do these 30-minute quick workouts to get, like me, I'm just getting back into my workout now. I go in and I do a little walk, run, or walk and incline,
stretching,
and I'm hitting the abs because that's where I need the most work, but that's where I feel comfortable. And 2 years from now, if I'm still doing that, I'm going to be built in like two parts of my body, and the rest is going to be, I'm going to have Popeye arms and chicken legs. Like it's an even process. You gotta hit every impact. And what I'm saying though is as we get into this, when the man is off now. Are you hearing me? Like, you don't need to be the titled.
See, and that's
man.
What most of those men do. They want to, like, I'm the man. There's nothing else above me in this house. When the truth of the fact is, God is above it all.
You know what's funny?
As soon as you keep putting ego in yourself and your attitude towards it, it jacks up. But what I like what you just said, when the man is off, the house is off. It feels chaotic. And I know there's a lot of women right now that are saying, ooh, I feel that. Immediately, these women are like, ooh.
Hold on. Before all you women ooh and ah and start pointing at your dude while you're watching this together, y'all need to have these conversations with yourself. And I'm telling you, go find a woman channel that can get it to you. But don't manipulate what we're trying to tell our brothers, because we're definitely not opening that door. But what we're saying, though, is that not only can the women feel it, the kids see it.
Yeah, this is the disconnection.
And I'm mad, right? Because when I made the thumbnail for our last thing about a silent home is a broken home, put the thumbnail with the child in the middle, and it had earphones on, right? And one parent's looking that way, and the kids listening to somebody else give them knowledge on the iPad. But what happened is the whole whatever I used to create the thumbnail was like, we can't use children in it. And I was like, I know why, because the enemy don't want these kids to see this too. But we got to see it. And the thing is that, we're not only there, there's more to this, right, than just your woman seeing it. Because I know y'all got some kids out there. I got some kids. And I'm telling you, like, even I still, like, we're sitting here trying to give advice. There's times after I get done, I'm like, yeah, I probably need to message my kid. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not messaging her. Like we got to acknowledge where we dropped the ball. And when we say that, like, and every time we say this, I always hear someone come back to me and be like, well, you're trying to make it sound like the man's a dictator. I've never said that. That's what you heard. And so we got to clear the air on that right now. We're never saying the dude is the dictator. You do what the dude says. No, we say you come together. The man is the leader, right? The coach.
Well, why? What? Okay, so
I'm
according
going to
to
say
God,
it wrong, so I'm going to let you
I'm going to say it right now. According to what some people think, and it really is the truth, the reason why the man has the last decision or the ultimate decision after the conversation has happened with him and his girl about what's about ready to transpire and take place, and I'm talking about as in terms of the firm leadership of the home, is because that man is held accountable for his home before God. You will answer for God, men, about your home. Your woman won't answer. She can go ahead and you can let her lead and everything. But in the end, God's coming to you about you and you alone. So you let that responsibility of being answering for how your house has been ran, to what you have let happen, you're going to let it fall on her because there will be no blame game. You can't be up there but like, well, God, she told me to do this and she told me to do that. When he's like, I'm holding you accountable for it all. So I'm not saying be a dictator,
but like
and I'm not saying to be a jerk.
Be an example.
Because
God never said to live your life like me and act like me. Because the minute you start trying to act like God, that's where these distractions come back in. Because if God said, you know what, and I like the Shack, right? I've been dialed into this movie. Like every time I have time to just sit and watch something, I go back to it because every time I watch it, something else is revealed. When he says, like if he says in that movie and he was sitting down next to me right now and said, Chris, I'll give you 15 minutes of what I got to deal with, I'll be in the loony bin. Because you know what? I'm going to have to make a decision that I'm not comfortable with. Matter of fact, the decisions you think that God's responsible, those are our decisions that we made. And now he's trying to decipher it.
And he's trying to fix it. He's like, if you don't realize how much I'm trying to fix. And so what I'm saying, man, is not to be a dictator. Realize that you and your women are supposed to work together as one unit, moving through this world and understanding that your children are watching you guys and they're going to implement what you guys have shown them. But I'm telling you, men, right now, you can't know which way to go unless you have a leader in front of you.
Right.
You are not the ultimate leader. God is your ultimate leader. And if you're dialed in and you're dialed in with him and you're listening to him on the directions, I promise you, there's a lot of things that are going to run a lot smoother, a lot easier for you. Now, I'm not saying every woman's going to get underneath you because you started to find God all of a sudden. You know, not everybody's going to do that. But this is where we talked about a couple of weeks ago about being equally yoked with one another.
But see, I like how you said that. God being the leader. A lot of us feel that, you know, we listen to these podcasts or we dial into these different sermons and that's a message from God. But are you dissecting what they're saying? Because when the minute you give that pastor or that guy that's up speaking credit that he saved you, that's not going to work for you either now because God's giving you a message. And instead of you praising the Lord, thank you, say, Brother Chris, for giving me this message. But I thank God for what the meaning is and being able to go back. Cause I think a lot, what happens is then we start idolizing that coworker that has it all, that we think has it all together, or we start that football player or the coach on the team or like the supervisor at work. But what you guys don't realize, right, is the coach leaves the field and he's a wreck.
And the supervisor leads the job.
Yeah.
And he's a wreck.
I mean, he don't even leave the job. He's there already dealing with demons and you know what I mean? Like, so that's what you got to understand is that when a relationship starts to fill off, nobody can explain it, but you see it, right? You say, oh, well, I'll just give her space. No, she needs you to step up into position. Maybe there's something that you need to confront because I'll tell you right now, silence is a killer. It is a builder. But depending on how you step into silence, if you step into silence with doubt, you're going to go deeper.
Oh, yeah.
If you step into silence knowing, okay, God, you got this, I'm just going to be still. I'm going to allow you to come to me with the message. I'm not waiting for my coworker at work to give me anything. I'm not waiting for the podcast to tell me something. Lord, I need to hear this from you.
Amen.
And sit down and have that. I mean, come on, guys, let's be real. Has any of you really sat down and just, you know, like I go into like what I call my prayer closet. I'll go to my DJ studio and I'll just sit there and I'll be like, Lord, this ain't working for me. I'll put the earphones on. I don't even got music on. I just don't want no one to bother me for a minute. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to dial into what God's telling me because it's quiet. And I'm not hearing enemy chatter. I'm not hearing no noises. I'm not being distracted by anything. And I could act like I'm doing something. And I could go over some scripture or go listen to a gospel song in the earbuds. But getting out of the world for a minute to look for the answer versus sitting here trying to Google. If Google was God, we would all be straight.
Even AI. But I like what you just hit right there. Getting alone. A lot of us men and a lot of men don't even know who they are. And until you get along with God, God will tell you exactly who you are.
And
God will tell you who you really are. You find your identity
you
there.
have an identity card in your pocket.
That's right.
Check your soul wallet.
That's right.
Check your, your wallet on your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's in there. Like, God didn't say, oh, wait, you got 12 more years of chaos before no, he gave it to you.
That's right.
We just choose not to pull that card out. You know why? Because it's like an EBT card. At the store, no one pulled out the old books of food stamps until you knew you was in that line by yourself. And out like, this is my bibliography, like, you there. But we were talking about that, and he's like, why you gotta could you count that down here? Like, why are you putting it all? But see, like, that's the card that we have, right? We have that membership card. You show your phone to get into Planet Fitness, you tap to pay for something, but how come you don't say, hey, God, I'm kind of lost?
Yeah, who am I? Who am I?
Pull this out.
We'll walk by some of the titles, like you're a provider, you're the boyfriend, you're the husband, but you still don't have no identity of who you really are. You're up at night like, what am I really doing? What is my purpose? And that's where we come back to this conversation about, like, yo, man, do you really know who you really are? And you got to go back and forth and asking yourself that. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt real peace? Like Brother Chris just told you, like, sometimes he has to get alone, put those earphones on and just find peace. But I promise you, if the Prince of Peace is talking to you,
man, you know what?
There's peace.
I'll be honest with you. Last night I experienced peace at the Lamb of God.
Really?
I mean, just sitting in, dude, I was in a room I'm not qualified to be in, right? And nobody looked at me different. Nobody looked at me like I'm the one that just got invited, or he didn't pay for his tickets. He's just here because someone gifted him something. Like, I was in there as an equal to that whole crowd to hear a message about God, and the music and the singing, dude. I just closed my eyes and Midget's like, don't be going to sleep. I'm not sleeping. I'm just
experiencing.
What I even did is I went in and I did a plan real quick on the Holy Week, right? And that's what this play followed. Mm-hmm. It followed the exact, and I'm just sitting there and I'm picturing myself where I'm in life and where God has brought me from. So even last year when I went, right, I didn't have that revelation. It's the same play. It's the same music.
Yeah.
Most of the people are the same, but I didn't have that. So to see that piece now, I was at peace then too. I mean, you were sitting next to me at that one. Dude, I was dialed in. I wasn't distracted, but last night I was tired, right? But my soul was getting energized in there. And dude, just to look around, and I saw couples clinging to each other, and I saw another dude closing his eyes, and I was like, he's picturing himself with God right now too. And to me, that's peace, right? Because nothing mattered. The phone didn't beep. Nothing. I was just, my eyes were closed and I'm picturing this whole scene and everything they're singing about, dude. I'm like, I'm not in it, right? Cause I'm not God. I'm not Jesus walking that, but I'm in the background watching it all unfold.
Man, that's a nice, honest answer, man. And talking about that experience last night. But let me flip it. What do you think most men are they leading their lives? Are they actually in control of their lives? Or are they just reacting to it?
See, it comes back to what Pastor said in men's group Monday, reacting or responding. I think a lot of men are leading in false narratives because, like, right off the bat, right, Sunday, if you're not getting up to go to Sunday school or go to, like, get out of the house and go to somewhere, you may not be lead, like, you're already missing the bus, right? So now wherever you go the rest of that day, you've missed the message. But say, like, so now we're in the house, we're trying to discipline the kids, we're trying to say this, we're trying to say that, but there's a lot, right, that we just don't know. And most guys are thinking that, like, and I'm an example, right? I'll show you the picture. I'm in this picture where we're all wearing the same colors, we look happy, and that was the most miserable time of our lives. My kid hated us at that moment. My wife was probably cheating on me at that time, and here I am blinded to it all. Cheesing, you know what I mean? Looking all brand new. But what it is we settle for, like, you know what? I'm comfortable without having to confront this. There's no confrontation right now. So this is good. But what it is, bro, is because, see, the enemy's not attacking me because I'm already out of assignment. So
yeah. If you're on assignment, the enemy's coming at you and you're just delaying the inevitable by trying to push a Band-Aid on a bullet.
And I think a lot of us, right, when you say, are men doing this or doing that, I think a lot of the guys are, in fact, leading by emotions. You know what I mean? I don't think it's by knowledge. I think it's by emotions, because like you got a dad, right, that just goes buck wild. Then you got a dad that's mellow. The dad that's usually mellow is because he understands, okay, we're going to have some troubles. This may be a troubling time, but God's going to get us through it.
Listen to that.
But you got some guys, right, that are like, oh my God, why are you doing this? Because they're emotional.
That or I don't care about addressing it right now.
Right.
So I'm going to talk to you guys right now and to our audience out there. For everybody listen, let's be honest with yourself. Like, is life where you really want it? Do you like your life right now? Does your home feel like peace, or just quiet because you're trying to avoid the conflict of having the conversation? Are you building something with the other one, or anything in your life? Are you really building something? And what I'll lay all that down. Are you building something mentally, physically, emotionally, but definitely spiritually? Those things you should be looking at building something at all the time.
Right.
Because like I said, this is a men's channel. We're trying to get every man to just ask those questions and have that conversation with themselves. Or are you just maintaining, like, tomorrow will take care of tomorrow? If nothing changes right now, where are you going to be in 5 years? What is your plan? Or like they say, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Man, what's your 5-month plan right now?
What's your 5-minute plan?
You know, like I said, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Where do you see yourself in 3 months, 5 months? Is there any growth in that? And I'm not trying to condemn anybody. What I'm trying to do is get us to ask ourselves those questions. Am I growing? Am I growing in these areas? Because nature has a real funny way of showing us one thing. If you're not growing, you are dying. Yeah. You are dying. The trees can go only so far. The animals can only grow so far before it's like, okay, you made it to 12 years. Now you're on your way out.
Yeah.
And so growth has to continually to happen within us.
So as we close this out, right, we got 3 points, and I want to touch on 3 points for you. Is reset. Okay. It starts with structure. And a lot of people think reset means, okay, go be lazy. Reset, if you notice, right, when your computer's not working right, you reset it. Mm-hmm. You do a quick power. If your internet's not working correctly, if your phone's not acting right, you do a power cycle. You shut it down. What that means is, right, it turns off, and then the structure starts to take place.
Right, man. Yeah, you're right. Your day can't just happen to you. You got to make some things happen. And you know what? I said that the other day when I posted up on TikTok. I was like, guess what? You get to reset. You get to, now the things that you delayed on, you get to say, okay, this is a new slate. I'm starting over. You're not too old to begin again a new chapter.
And the second point I want to get into is honesty. You got to be real with what's off. You got to have these honest conversations, not only with yourself, but with your partner.
Man, most people avoid that.
With your family.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time, right, where, like, I know families that are like, yeah, I think this dude's doing this. I think this dude's doing that. But having that honest sit down and talk. And I had a buddy of mine that was like, I think my kid's doing dope. Why, have you talked to him? No, I don't need to talk to him. I know. And what happened, right, is that the kid wasn't doing dope. The kid just was seeing the dad falling off, and he didn't want nothing to do with it. And when he called the dad out, no, I'm not doing dope. I'm just seeing you treat my mom bad. And then boom, dude, the dad got the shell shock. But you know what happened is that the honesty, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't being honest with what he thought was going on. He was being honest with what he felt emotionally. He emotionally felt that, yeah, this is what we're going to do. He's going to go to rehab. And what it turned out to be is the dad needed to go to have some counseling sessions and work on what he was reacting
Didn't even realize he was destroying his home.
Right. And right away, again, we said at the beginning of this, if we're not honest and confronting what's in us, we cannot take another title on because we're going to be fake about it.
Man, you're right. And when a man gets aligned, everything connected starts to shift. Everything starts to shift. And when that happens, man. Woo.
Well, I mean, like they say, the shift, right? A lot of people say, oh, like, the noises in an old house. I used to hear my grandpa and them always say, oh, the house is just shifting. And what he said is like, there's so much stuff put in this house, the weight has to I was like, man, you crazy. The foundation's about to fall out. But see, he had
everything's cracked.
He had faith, right? He knew what he was saying. He believed. And then what I found out, right, is that it's just air pressure. And what's happening is the atmosphere is settling. Stuff is crinking but see, he he was headstrong, right? And he didn't panic. Cause like me, I'm like, the house is falling apart. What's that noise? There's a boogeyman downstairs. But what happens is things when you constantly move things, it's just like your hard drive. Every once in a while, your hard drive will start acting weird and you got to go in and they call it a defrag. And you got to basically take everything that's been, because you have so much stuff and then you delete so much stuff. And then what you find out is that there's blocks of missing data. And as you find these missing data, you got to shrink it back to where it builds your community of data again. And then it lets you start adding on. A lot of us, we don't take that time to reset. We don't take that time to be honest, and we don't take that time to align. So if we're not defragging, right, and I'm just using this as an example, that's where we're losing it. Mm-hmm. And we're losing space. And then what happens? We just do what we always do.
And
this phone don't work.
Yep.
We go buy another one.
And it happens in your life. Years go by. You kept doing the same thing because you wouldn't defrag. You wouldn't turn around and have that honest conversation of asking yourself, is my life really going the place that I want it to go? Right. Am I happy in my life? And if you ask yourself those questions and those things come back like, I don't like this and I don't like that and I didn't see this, what changes can be made now to make those things move forward? It's never too late. I'm telling you, every man, it's never too late. Just start. And you'll see that as you start to align with your purpose, especially what God has called you to, you will begin to sense the peace coming and you'll begin to feel successfulness, not by materialistic things, but by yourself and your heart saying, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. And your home will start to feel different. The people around you will start to sense it and see you different. Your children will start to be like, that person's different.
See, at the end of the day, the reality of this is you don't need a whole new life. Mm-mm. You just need to put some work in. A lot of us, the car breaks down. Oh, well, you know what? It only costs like $600 to fix this car, but it's going to cost $32,000 to buy a new one. You know what? The process is easier to go buy a new one and go in debt than it is to just sit back, let someone come help you and fix this. I'm going to speak from it, right? I got a car, low miles, and it was leaking coolant. And for the life of me and my brother, we couldn't figure out where it's coming from. And I've never owned anything with the warranty, right? So I was just like, well, I don't even know how to use this. I'm scared to use this. And then I went in there and they replaced all kinds of stuff. Car runs like it's brand new again and didn't charge me $1. But I was prepared to trade this car in and take on another loan and start my payments all over again. But there was just no need to. Sometimes you just got to stop and regain your focus. And okay, this is out of my control. Lord, I need you to give me an answer. Fact. Because like when this car came to me, I asked for that direction. I wasn't asking for the direction on the new car. I was just like, I'm going to go buy me a Gladiator because I feel like I'm a warrior for God. God was like, you ain't buying nothing, bro. Like, yeah, you got credit, but that don't mean that you need to go waste it. And I had to have these conversations with myself, and I got back in line. I took the car. I had some problems with it, as far as dealing with the process. But the overall thing, at the end of the day, I didn't need a new car. I had a car. I just needed to put some work in. And sometimes that's us, right? Maybe we need to go in for some warranty work. Maybe we need to just go sit down somewhere and, is where did this sound? Go get a pedicure.
Message.
Put some earphones in and you hear all these commercials all the time. Hey, what are you listening to? Listen to the Bible. Go listen to something. Get out of the world that's giving you so much trouble and go get back in alignment.
Listen to this conversation or go back to the old ones that we talked about and listen to some more of these conversations and have those questions within yourself. I like how you hit that. He had to come out of his comfort zone to say, okay, look, I really need to ask about how this warranty goes, what it can be done. And it didn't cost him a dime to get it fixed. But we see a lot of men that get so comfortable in the day to day, not liking the way their life is going. And instead of addressing the issue within themselves and saying, okay, I got to come out of my comfort zone and start to ask these questions and make these different moves that I never made before. Right. Even if it means calling on the phone to check if this warranty is, then I need to do that. But like you said, I'm ready to check out of this thing and not fix it. Just go get me something new. And I've seen that time and time again. I've seen it in relationships. I've seen it like, oh, this dog bit me, so I need to get a new dog. No, you don't need a new dog. You need to drop this dog off at the dump friendly. What you need to do is find out what's triggering that dog and what's going on and train it. Correct.
And so, and the message right there is we the dog.
Fact.
We the dog. Fact. We've been called dogs our whole life, and always like, that's my dog. What we don't realize is that we the dog. Like, that's the message here. So we'll ask yourself again before we close out, do you actually like your life? Or are you just used to it? That's the question. I need you to ask somebody else. Get in the DMs. Let us know if you asked somebody how it went. maybe you need okay, well, I asked them and this is the answer they gave me.
Yeah.
We will work that with you.
And I'll dial in right now, fellas. And this is me just being transparent. Do I like my life? I like parts of it, and there's a bunch of guys out there going to say that. And there's some other parts that I don't like that I need to shore up, have those conversations, or reset and move forward into different directions and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that when we can be honest and truthful with ourselves, saying this is what needs to happen.
Right.
But what I would love for you guys to do is hit the DMs and hit this if this been any meaning to you, bring any enlightenment to you, and helped you grow in any kind of way. Please let us know.
Yep. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. The comments are vital, for the algorithm. I could put a Cash App code out there and ask you to send us money, but I don't need your money. What I need is your support. I need you to share this. I need you to click, the subscribe. All that is, that's all free. I think we're up to 100 and, I think we're up to 150 on the
and
YouTube
listen,
channel
if you
now.
just share this, I promise you, if you just share it with somebody, that means a lot more to us. We don't need your money, but you may be the one that shares it to somebody that's going through this struggle, that's dealing with this and stuff. And you may just be the one that they come to and say, hey, man, thank you for sharing that to me, because, this conversation may have not had really affected you, but it affected who you shared it with.
Right.
And so we're stronger together than trying to do everything one by one. And don't take your homie saying, hey, guess what? Hey, man, are you okay? Oh, yeah. The answer will always be, yeah, I'm good. Until you have a good, strong relationship with that person, then he'll be like, nah, I'm going through some stuff right now.
That's it.
And so help support one another in that way.
Yep. So like I said, if you have any comments, questions, email is at CWTM Podcast@gmail.com. Hit us on all the platforms in the DMs. Comment on the post. If it's not something that's too personal, I respond to everything that's on there. Me and Coach talk about them, and then we respond. If you need prayer, don't be afraid to hit us in the DMs. We're on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I get tongue twisted when I say all these, but those are the three major ones. But anywhere you see our podcast clips, make sure you check them out. And again, big ups to all the ones that are commenting. Without you guys, the ice won't be broke. But, even if you don't comment, man, just make sure you share this out. Tag somebody in it that you think needs to hear it. And until the next time, right? Tell a friend to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
We did it again. That's episode 44, guys. We'll be back with 45 coming up soon. Show us some grace as we work through these technical difficulties. And I hope we're getting it closer, because I think this one's going to be a good one. So until next time.
Peace. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming in and listening to this podcast. And I just want to give a ups to everybody that tunes in, hits like and subscribe. And we look forward to more content like this.
It was a great conversation. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.